and welcome to another How To Plus Q&A event. My name is Anna Mari and I'm your host as usual. Today we have a returning guest. Andy from Hard Basket is here and he is going to be talking about how to reduce stress for your employees reducing technology stress for your employees. So this is going to be a really good topic for those of you that do have staff, or those of you that are planning on scaling up or at some point growing your business and having employees. Reducing that stress when it comes to technology is really important. We see this a lot in the trades industry, I think, as well. People who are on the tools or have like a lot of employees that are on the tools and then wanting to bring in kind of tech tools into their business, and then having to adjust the staff to using these tools. So I think this is I hope I haven't misread this talk, Andy, but I'm really looking forward to hearing your insights. Your sessions are always really informative, give us good calls to action and useful tips and tricks. Now, depending on what platform you're streaming with us on, you can contribute to this session and get your questions answered by Andy by using the comment section, Q&A function, or the chat function. Welcome, Andy. Thanks for joining us again this morning. I think it's quite obvious I've had 2 cups of coffee. I'm sorry. I'm like, oh.
Oh, I
won't do it tomorrow. I promise. I'm sorry, everyone. It was just one of those where I thought, oh, just have one more.
Just one more. Just another double shot.
It's really hitting hard now. Welcome to Digital Boost again. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule. And I know you always have a lot to kind of contribute and a good sized offering. So I'm going to let you get to it.
Okay.
And I hope I haven't misspoke on your session today. That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not just for employees. So, whether you're whether you're just a sole trader or whether you've got a team, we've got some ideas today on how to reduce that technology stress. A lot of people find technology to be stressful, and because the speed of technology is increasing so much, it can be really challenging. So we've got some examples of where we've been able to reduce that for sole traders and also for when you have teams as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I know that I myself have not always been in the tech zone. I actually was resisting tech for quite a long time. I was like, oh, it's just too much stress. There's enough going on in the world. I don't need that in addition to it. And going on this journey that I've been on now for quite a while, it's been so wonderful. It's like the more I open my mind and allow myself to be open to these kind of tools and all this stuff, it really has made it's allowed me to be more organized, and it's allowed me to actually set it and forget it for a lot of things that used to stress me out. There's so many tools that complement other tools that allow you to not have to experience that stress. So I'm really looking forward to some of these options that you've got in your chat today. I'm going to stop my video and let you get on with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, I'm just going to share my screen. We've got a few slides to go through today, and as well as the Q&A and chat function, I've also got a couple of Slido polls today. So make sure you've got your cell phone handy, or another screen or another tab that you can open up so you can contribute to that. So today we're covering the technology to Hard Basket guide, and I'm going to be referring to some snippets from a guide that I've created that you can download for free later on as well. So if you want to take some notes, you're welcome to, but at the end you can download the guide, which has all of the information I'm going to be showing you as well. To get us started, a question for you: what's in your technology too hard basket at the moment? And by going to your browser and typing in Slido, so slido.com, and then you'll be prompted to enter a number, and you enter in that number 182233. You'll have an opportunity to enter in just some words to describe what's in your technology too hard basket at the moment. And just I guess to give you some examples from some of the businesses that I've been working with recently. One of the things that always comes up is kind of managing email and managing calendars. So I refer to it as the email calendar vortex, and it can be quite challenging just managing that really well. Another thing that it comes up quite a lot is the different apps that you're using. So it's helpful to to type in some of the apps that you're finding are not working quite the way that you want to in your business. And one of the things with team members that I see come up time and time again is managing payroll. So a few different examples there. So if you can just go to that site, type in that number and enter in anything that's kind of causing you technology stress or is in what we call the too hard basket. So we'll come back to your answers in a few minutes, and we'll be able to hopefully address some of those apps and some of those challenges that you've got. So just to start off, one of the big things that I work with businesses a lot around is the email and calendar vortex. And time and time again, just see people really struggling to manage this stuff well, and what that means is that kind of inquiries get missed. People feel overwhelmed that there's so many emails coming in, and they also feel like they're always having to be connected and always having to respond instantly. So got a couple of different tips on managing the email and calendar vortex. Just on the left-hand side of the screen here, we've got what we refer to as the 4Ds. And this is just a little framework for managing your inbox a little bit more effectively. So the 4Ds, the first one is delete it. So, delete emails that don't apply to you, that don't interest you, that don't require further action. Don't just leave them sitting there in your inbox. The second D is to do it now. And when you're spending time managing your emails, there are some emails that can just be responded to and can be dealt with really quickly. A really good rule in managing your emails is to try to only touch each email once. So, don't open it on your phone and then, open it again on your computer and, spend double the amount of time managing that. So if it's something short and sweet, do it now. The next D is to delegate it. So if you have people in your team that you can delegate tasks to, then when you're working through your emails, you can delegate that task. And one of the things that can be really useful here in whether you're using a lot of businesses are using Microsoft Outlook or 365, or alternatively the Google Gmail. So you can actually use the tasks functions to delegate that to some of your team members. So that can be a really useful way of assigning it to somebody else to do. Or if you don't have team members, but you have people that you use to support you in your business, you can delegate that to them. And then the last of the D's is to defer it. So often you get something that comes in which requires you to do some work at a later stage, to reply to it or to do something around it. And one of the things that you can do, you can use your flags inside of your emails or starring it. But you can also convert that email into an event or a meeting that needs to take place later. And that can be another great way of just touching your email once, getting it out of your inbox. If it's some work that you need to do, you can set it up as an event inside your calendar, and that will remind you to manage it. So the 4 Ds, good framework to remember when you're managing your email. Next little tip that can help a lot to manage your inbox and emails is to use filters, so that you've a lot of the emails that you get don't need to have the same priority. You can filter them into to perform automatic actions, or to go into different labels or different folders inside of your inbox. And often by spending a little bit of time on getting those things set up well, you can drastically reduce the amount of time that you need to manage those things manually. So we've got really great technology at our fingertips, and what I see a lot is that we can use that more and more. So another couple of tips for you. I recommend that you turn off your automatic notifications, because they can be really distracting, and they can get in the way of you doing the important and valuable work that you do inside of your business. If your phone's always binging and you've always got things popping up on your screen, then that just creates distraction after distraction, and stops you from looking after your. Often it stops you from looking after your customers. And you can set things up in such a way so that you are so that you're able to respond quickly to customers if that's what's required. But it's important to be able to kind of control that. And another tip is to use unsubscribe tools to clean up your inbox. And I've got a couple of different examples here. And this is something worthwhile doing on a from time to time, to just to manage all of the some of the emails that you get coming through that you no longer need, and just take up time inside of your inbox. So out of those 3 tools, my favorite one is unroll.me. And one of the things that's great about that particular tool is that it lets you turn some of the emails that you get into like a weekly digest. So if you want to still receive those emails, but instead of getting 30 emails coming through in your inbox, you can just get a weekly or a daily digest of those particular emails, which can make things more efficient. So I was working with actually a sole trader a few months ago on some of these tips, and by implementing some of them with her, she was able to save a whole bunch of time, and was able to kind of reduce that whole stress of how do I manage my overwhelming inbox, which is just being bombarded with messages all the time. So definitely worthwhile spending a little bit of time on a couple of those ideas. Okay, so got a couple of different responses on what's in your technology too hard basket. So mobile device habit, spreadsheets, managing social media posts, AI. Yep, that's some really interesting things happening around that at the moment. Paperwork overload. Yep, that's something we see a lot. Payment portals. Yep. And finding the right tool. Okay, great. Thank you for that. So one of the other areas that we've seen a fair bit around recently has been with team members. If you have a team and managing payroll, or even if you're a sole trader and you're wanting to kind of manage your income and income tax in a proactive way, being able to manage payroll effectively can be really useful. And I was working with a small business. Greg, he has a team of 6 people, and he was been managing his payroll for many years. Kind of had it set up. He was using a few different spreadsheets, and then he would use that information, had it set up with his internet banking, and also set up with Inland Revenue with the My IR, so that he could file his employee information. And one of the things was, it was taking a fair bit of time, and also it wasn't working that well for his team. So one of the things that we looked at was finding the right tool to manage his payroll, and we looked at a few different tools, and we definitely wanted to have something where the team could manage their time and timesheet functions. So we wanted to be able to have an app. And in Greg's case, we actually chose a tool called Smart Payroll, which is one of a number of really good payroll solutions. And one of the great things that that tool did was that it managed all of the payments, all of the filing with IRD automatically, and with the app, it provided the team the ability to be able to enter their leave, enter their any timesheet information that was needed, straight into the app. So it just reduced a whole lot of manual work. So yeah, if you need to use a payroll tool, I highly recommend using something which is got some of that functionality and that automation. So for Greg, it's saved a whole bunch of time. It's reduced his stress, and it's also made it much easier for his team. So I've got another question for you. So the next question, again, at the same link that you went to last time, so just slido.com, and with the same number. Really interested to find out what do you use spreadsheets for inside of your business? I see a lot of small and medium-sized businesses who they're using spreadsheets for managing jobs, whether it be sometimes quoting for jobs, scheduling jobs, managing job numbers. We see spreadsheets being used for managing budgets. Most of us have tons and tons of spreadsheets that we use in our business. So, really interested to find out what you're using spreadsheets for, and we're going to come back to that and see if we can provide you ideas around some more efficient ways to use.
And I just wanted to, I'm just popping on, Andy, because I just wanted to say, if you're streaming with us on another platform, because I can see people doing that, and you don't have access to open up another browser, just pop it in the chat there and I'll drop it into Slido for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so spreadsheets are one of the things that I see that can create a lot of stress inside of businesses. And one of the biggest problems that I see is when people are trying to use spreadsheets as databases, and often it can can work really well when you're just kind of starting out. But as you get more and more information and more customers and jobs working, it becomes more and more of a challenge. And I've got a couple of suggestions here for if you're at that stage where you're starting to get some more information, and your spreadsheets are kind of not working as well as you need them to. I've got 3 suggestions here on some great cloud-based databases, and all of these, I'm pretty sure all of these, I know Airtable and CATS, actually all 3 of them, offer some free plans to start off with when you're just kind of starting to build a little bit of functionality. So yeah, if you're using spreadsheets a lot in your business and they're not working quite as well as you would like, here are 3 tools to go and have a look at. I've got an example here of a business that is a business that actually a sign writing business, and they were using spreadsheets to manage a few things across the business. They were using it to manage their quoting, to manage their job management, and also, so that was their job numbers and also the scheduling around their jobs. So, because they're using spreadsheets, there's quite a lot of kind of manual data entry and taking data from different places. So what we were able to do was they were using Xero as their accounting system, and I imagine a number of I know a lot of businesses are using Xero now. It's a really great tool. And what we were able to do, we were able to replace those spreadsheets with a great little task management tool called ClickUp. And so now, instead of having lots of different spreadsheets and information kind of everywhere, we were able to use Xero and ClickUp, and between that we're able to manage our job information, we're able to manage our quoting, we're able to manage our job numbers and also our scheduling, and we can have all of that information in one place shared with the team. And for Neil, he's got a team of 3, and so everybody has all of the information in the right place. And so if you're looking to manage jobs, that could be something really useful for you. By doing that, we're able to save a bunch of time. It's improved the whole customer experience, and also reduced the stress and made it better for the team. Okay, so you're using spreadsheets for actions and timelines. Nice. Calculating invoice data, assigning tasks, budgeting, planning social media, accounting, everything. Lovely. A CSV data holder. Nice. Business planning, cost breakdowns, budgets and variations of. Okay. Nice. So if they're all great uses of spreadsheets, and I can see in there there's a few things that have been put in here. So scheduling, spreadsheets can work quite well for scheduling. There are some really good tools out there that are probably better, or that are better designed for scheduling, and definitely for CRMs and can budget. So if in any of these examples that you've entered that you're finding your spreadsheets are not working as well as you would like, there definitely are some options out there that can save time and can make things a little bit less stressful. And if you want to, you can always I offer a free video call to discuss those. So if you wanted to connect on that, I'd be happy to talk through the specific examples that you've put up there. Thanks for entering those. So just a couple more examples around spreadsheets. So in managing jobs, so this is an example working with a business owner, Scott. He his kind of old way of managing managing jobs was he had some information in his CRM, but he was then, using email and manual data entry and some spreadsheets around that. And what we were able to do, we were able to essentially replace the spreadsheet with a tool called Asana, which is a task and project management tool, and that was able to reduce a whole lot of the just manual work time, and also a fair bit of stress, and we were able to automate that using the Zapier tool, which we covered off last month. So for Scott, we here were the results. We were able to save 5 hours a week for him. Scott has a small team. It created a better team experience, and just reduced the time to manage the job. Okay. So, another area in this that see kind of people finding stressful is around how to manage their invoicing and quoting, and it's really having a good process for how you manage your quoting and invoicing can just speed up all of that admin, and can just make it much easier for you to be able to deal with inquiries and make things work better with your customers. So inside of tools like Xero, you have quoting functions in that you can set up so that you can have templates in place. You can have your services or products already set up there to make that nice and smooth. And so by having that set up in templates, it makes it easy for you to be able to add those details into a quote, and you can email those straight out to your customers. And if you're using if you're using a number of those tools for managing your quoting, it means that your customers can accept the quotes digitally online, which can reduce some of the kind of email traffic going back and forth, which can make things much easier. And I highly recommend giving your customers on the online payment options. These days there are a number of different payment portals that you can very easily set up for your business, which mean that your customers can use credit cards. There is also options if you're providing reoccurring services where they can pay by direct, like a direct debit setup. And those things used to be kind of, you had to be kind of a bigger business to be able to use those features, but now they're really available for everyone very easily, and often connect into our digital tools, whether it be our accounting systems or our job tools. And then really, really important to follow up outstanding quotes and unpaid invoices. And many of the tools that we have help do that automatically and give us reminders. But to be able to make your business work more efficiently, and being able to improve your cash flow and reduce the stress around your business. It's so important to be able to follow up quotes and also to collect payments for your invoices. So managing quotes. Lots of different quoting tools out there. So we've talked about Xero as one example. Another example is a tool called Quotient, which is a really great tool to be able to use. Enables you to be able to email out quotes and be able to have your customers accept those online, and also make comments or make requests and keep that all in one place, and also to digitally sign off on those quotes. And using tools like Quotient, we can also automate a lot of those processes as well. So instead of having to kind of manually do it through emails and data entry, we can connect that information into our systems. So in this example, for Scott, he's using Quotient and he's connecting it to his CRM system automatically. So this saves time, reduces the stress on the team from a technology perspective. So the old way of kind of manually having to manage this took time, takes energy. So the last Slido question for you is time or money more important? And I asked this question last month and was quite interested in the response. So it'd be great to see what people are thinking this month. So again, if you just go to the Slido, enter in the code, and choose the option, that would be great. So another area that technology can reduce stress and save a whole lot of time is in managing paperwork. And this particular example is around supplier bills. So depending on how many supplier bills you receive, and as your business grows, this grows. And I was working with an organisation where they were starting to receive a growing number of supplier bills, and it was becoming more and more onerous to have somebody actually manually enter this information. So we've now got great technology tools that can automate the scanning and entering of this information straight into our tools. So in this particular example, we used a tool called Text, and we use this tool to automatically scan and enter supplier bills into their accounting system. Now, another example of using this type of technology is through using some of the email, some different email scanning tools. So another tool that we use a fair bit called Email Purser. So it's emailpurser.com, and what that does is every time a new email comes in with data that we want to have entered into one of our systems, we can set up an automation that scans that data, takes it, and then enters it into whatever system that we're using. So I've worked with quite a few different businesses who are using this technology just to remove that kind of manual admin work, and we're using it to where we're receiving updates from suppliers that we need to be able to record and have that information. Worked with some organisations who are receiving email notifications from some of the different platforms that they're working with. So, got a couple of examples of social media platforms. So, Facebook as one example. There are some notifications that we're getting through from there that we're wanting to send straight into one of our systems to be able to use that information. Also from job platforms as well. So yeah, if you're receiving regular notification emails that you need to have, that can be useful to have into your systems and that you're manually entering at the moment, you can use technology to automate that. So yeah, in this particular example, this was a bigger team where they had a few people that were manually entering information, and this automation just removed the need for that. So okay, so saving time won again. It's great to see. Thanks for entering that in. Okay, so look, those were the examples that I wanted to go through. If you, I have a free guide that goes through some of what we've covered today, and also some more detail about some of those ideas. You can download a free copy by going to that link on my website. So hardbasket.com ebook download. If you want to be able to take those notes away and put some of those things into place, we've got a little bit of time to be able to answer any questions that you have. So happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Andy. Another great session, just laying out some options for us and making us kind of inquire a little bit, like, are our systems working for us, or should we, do some updating or have a look around at using possibly a different way of running things to create some better efficiency. So that was, yeah, really good session. I feel like you always highlight to me how the inefficiencies in my methods that I have, in ways I could be doing it a lot better. As usual, I feel like we're just, everything you put forward is quite comprehensive. So I'm not sure if we have that many questions going out there. I kind of been checking the different platforms, and people are just watching steady, but no questions popping up into the box, which is perfectly fine. I think that just means you've kind of done it well. So not that questions mean that the presenter isn't doing it well. I'm definitely not saying that. I think there's just certain things insight questions and certain things don't. So there's another thing here that says, how do you choose a pathway in terms of add-ons?
How do you choose a pathway in terms of add-ons? So, I mean, one of the things that is really important in choosing the pathway is, I guess having a look at what are kind of the core apps that you're using at the moment, and what are kind of the non-negotiable apps that you're already using. So if you're, let's say you're using a job management system that you've been using for a little while, and it's something that you've got a lot of customization, and it's something that's working really well for you, then you need to choose the add-ons to that are going to work well with that tool. So that becomes really important. Another thing that is really, really important is, what are the business processes that you're using those apps to solve. So, and often a really useful thing to do around that is just to create a list of tasks that kind of happen as part of that business process. And then often selecting the app is about the one that kind of fits that process the best way. So finding the right app can be quite challenging, because there are lots of different options out there, and there's some great sites to go to get some different app selections.
Can I do a plug right now, Andy?
Yeah, go for it.
There is a tool, like if you wanted, MB does have a tool, it's called the Right Tool.
Yep.
And it might just give you a little bit of insight into tools that work well with your industry. So if you're, and I know that, Andy, you've kind of offered, if people reach out to you, you'll have a chat with them, about certain things as well. So, that's an option, but, the Right Tool is also an option that's out there. I'll jump off right now and I'll find the link to that so that folks can have it, but it'll give you, it's quite general, to be honest. Like most industries, it kind of recommends similar tools, but it might just give you a place to start. And of course, Andy here.
No, that's a good place. There's also if you're researching different apps, there's getapp.com as a site which has a pretty good database of lots of the different tools out there. But so I would say, it's really important to have a look at what your kind of core app is, and what apps that will integrate and connect with, both natively and then also using tools like Zapier to connect them. All right.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm still just looking for that link.
Okay,
there's some more questions coming through. So it says, is API scraping something that Zapier can gain and create PDF? Google AI says it can be done. I just haven't found a person in NZ with experience since I've never seen it used before. Good question.
So they're trying to scrape a PDF.
Yeah. So, it says, is API scraping something that Zapier can gain and create PDF?
Is API scraping? Yeah, I don't quite understand what they're asking. I mean, you can scrape PDFs, absolutely, and you can set up automations to scrape that data, and then send that data using an API to other platforms. If that's what you mean,
It says from a database and then create a PDF report. Thanks for clarifying.
Okay, great. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely doable. That's some of the work that I do. So if you wanted to have an initial kind of free conversation, you can just go to my website and you can just book a time in my calendar, and we can have a chat about it. I can show you some of the examples I've worked on around that area.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Another one here says, is there any tool that compiles an AP package of system scanned invoices and a checkbox for a manager to approve?
So there's definitely, you can definitely have that manager, or you can definitely have that approve step using a number of different tools. So you can, I have done a setup before using Dext, which is one of the examples I talked about before.
Spell that.
Sorry?
How do you spell that? D-E-X or?
D-E-X-T, Dext.
D-E-X-T. Okay, I might find a link for that.
Yeah. So with that, you can definitely scan the information. You can then send it through. If you're using Xero, you can send it through as a bill to be approved. So that's one way, but there are a number of other ways of being able to manage those approval steps for expense reports or supplier bills. So there's a few different options there.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. I'm just dropping that in the chat. I hope I've got it. It's just dex.com. This one's a /au. There might be one for here as well. Cool. It's more not printing invoices out to save paper. Oh, okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So from the database, you can take that data. You can then, using the APIs, you can, format it into a PDF document that you can then email out, or just save to your system. So definitely those options are available.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'd love to go paperless around here. I think we're going to be doing a session on e-invoicing coming up.
Okay.
And we did, if you are looking at like document signing stuff, if that's something else that you wanted to look into to go paperless, there is a company with total transparency called Good Sign. We've had John Ballinger on at least once. He's the owner of that company, or founder of that company, and they are totally transparent about everything that they do. And he specifically started it for small businesses so that you don't have to buy packages to get add-ons and all of this stuff. You can literally pay per document that you want, like a flat rate, and he plants trees and stuff with parts of the profits. So it's pretty cool. Check out some of that. Good Sign. So how do you present Xero scanned invoices to a manager for additional, and the sentence cuts off there, sorry. So how do you present Xero scanned invoices to a manager? Probably for additional signing.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, first you've got to
sorry, hold on. It says, how do you present Xero scanned invoices to a manager for approval? Thanks, Rob.
Yeah. So what you can do is you have your invoice coming into Xero, and you've got a few different options on how you bring that in. But what you do is you set up how you bring that in to bring it into the bills to be approved section of the bills inside of Xero. So you have a few different options when you're bringing those bills into Xero. You can bring them in as a draft. you can bring them in as approved, or you can bring them in as to be approved. And if you bring them in as to be approved, then their manager can go into the to be approved section inside of their Xero. They can review it, and they can see the scan of the bill inside of there, and they can then approve it from there. So that's how you do that.
There's just a comment saying, cumbersome to approve one by one, though, having to drill into the e-invoice. If you're going to be using Xero, I would actually contact Xero, because I've had on Xero a number of times, and their systems have systems, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't be surprised if you couldn't put them all in one bucket or something like that. Is that right, Andy? Like I would not be surprised if they didn't have a way for you to not have to go in each one, but they were all kind of,
You don't have to go into each one.
Okay.
You can, I mean, you can go into each one if you want to view the detail. But if you just want to be able to see the list and tick them off and click approved, you can do that from that screen. So
Sweet.
you don't have to go into them one by one, but you can if you want.
And if you wanted to learn more about invoicing, and I'm not sure what was coupled in that session with Xero,
Quoting.
but we did about, I want to say like almost 20 sessions or something with Xero, like something ridiculous. We did a session every other week with Xero in January through till, I don't know if it was like May or June, July. So there are so many awesome Q&As that we did with Xero, and they're really well thought out, and you could watch one. There is a specific one that encompasses invoicing, so have a look at that. It might help you out, and their support team is really good at having chats with you and really catering to what you want. I've done a lot of work with them, so yeah. Okay, contact Xero, good idea. I think that they're really great at making your life a lot easier. That's like what they kind of specialize in. Like, I'm always surprised when they come in and do a session, because I'm always like, oh wow, you've thought of everything, you know. So.
And again, I do a lot of work with businesses using Xero, and if you wanted some help to work through how to make that, you're welcome to connect with me as well. So yeah.
Thanks, Andy. That's so great. I mean, like you are really great like that, like where you always kind of say, hey, just give me a buzz and I'll, help you out, like get in touch and I'll have a quick chat with you. And I actually am so appreciative of so many of our presenters that volunteer their time like that. It's really beautiful to see folks that, like yourself, experts, lending a hand to some of us getting started and helping us, it's just a really lovely, generous nature. And I'm so appreciative of these sessions and people like yourself that offer their time like that. So thank you so much. This has been a wonderful session today, as usual. And I love how you use Slido as well, because I think it just really engages us all in the sessions, and that it's such a nice little feel in a session like that. So
cool.
I'm looking forward to future work that we do together and work that you do with Digital Boost. And wishing everybody a wonderful Wednesday. We made it.
Yes.
A wonderful Wednesday. We did get a comment earlier that was saying this was so great, such a great session. Another thank you very much, very helpful. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, perfect. So thank you so much for your time, Andy, and have a wonderful day. Ka kite, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. Guess what we're delving in tomorrow, Andy? You can't, because there's been so many sessions you'll never guess. Okay, so tomorrow we've got Paula coming on, and she's going to be talking from De-Risk Me. We're delving into cybersecurity, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Okay.
Isn't it?
Because it's cybersecurity week.
Cybersecurity week, isn't
It
it?
is. It's
Yeah.
cybersecurity week. So we're going to do it tomorrow. But I know Paula personally. She is a teacher. And so she likes things to be interactive and fun. So it's not going to be like cybersecurity. It's going to be like
Ah, cybersecurity.
cybersecurity.
I saw something on the telly. I think it was last night. It was great. There's some really important to
We're
manage
making
that well.
cybersecurity cool.
Yeah.
It's coming back. It's the new black. Yeah, so tune in tomorrow for it. More thank yous coming in. You're welcome, guys. Have a great day. Ka kite to everyone. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. See you, Andy. Have a great one.